In this lesson, I'd like to talk about helical features, including threads. Let's start a brand new part in SOLIDWORKS using the Infinite Skills template. The helix can be made starting from a circle sketched on a plane. So let's sketch a circle on the front plane and give it a 4-inch diameter. Now let's exit the circle sketch and take a look at the Helical Property Manager. You can define a helix by one of 4 methods: using the pitch and revolution, using the height and revolution, using the height and pitch, or define a spiral. Pitch is the distance between each successive turn of the helix. So, for example, on the helix shown, the pitch is the distance between the beginning and the end of this particular helix. The revolution is just one turn of the helix. Height and revolution, the height refers to the distance between the beginning and the end of the helix. In this case, the height and the pitch are the same. Spiral is a flattened out helix where the diameter grows, and the pitch is the radial change with each revolution. You can control how many revolutions, you can control the pitch, and you can even control the start angle. Unfortunately, the start angle cannot be driven parametrically, so if you have an existing item that you would like to start a helix on, you'll need to measure that angle first and manually key it in. Helix and spirals can both be created either clockwise or counterclockwise. Additional ways to define your helix are by using the constant pitch, in which case each revolution of the helix is the same distance apart, or a variable pitch, where you can change the distance between revolutions in a chart. In fact, you can even change the diameter of the helix using this same chart. So if I were to start filling in some more numbers here, the pitch would go from 1 inch or 1.5 inches to 1 inch, and I would use this for maybe 3 revolutions. And height is grayed out since the helix is defined by any 2 of the 3 parameters. Also, I could neck the diameter down to 3 inches. Let's keep the pitch at 1 inch for 5 revolutions and bring the diameter down again to 2.5. The helix can go up or down, and again clockwise or counterclockwise. Sometimes the start angle will start at 270, 90, 180, and sometimes at 0. When you click the OK button, SOLIDWORKS creates the helix that you've asked for. A helix is technically called a curve feature in SOLIDWORKS. This is different from a sketch feature, but it's in the same family with the composite curve, the projected curve, curve through XYZ points, and the curve through reference points. Some items that are called curves in SOLIDWORKS are not really curves, such as the intersection curve and other types of sketch entities, such as equation-driven curve and face curves. In order to create a thread, I want to use a more consistent helix than this one, so let's create a new part, another circle on the top plane. And this time I want to extrude the circle first. You cannot reuse a circle used for an extrude to create a helix, so one way to get around that is to open a sketch on a plane or planar surface and use the Convert Entities tool, and from there, invoke the helix. Now, this is going to be a constant pitch, and the pitch in this case is going to be 60 thousandths of an inch. We're going to reverse the direction, and we're going to use height and pitch combination. One thing to be careful of is that if you get carried away with threaded features, and I would define what's on the screen here as getting carried away, it can have an adverse effect on the speed with which your SOLIDWORKS models run. So your rebuild time for a helix or a swept feature using a helix of this sort is going to be pretty high. So I'm going to sweep a thread using this helix, and I just need to find the end of it in order to do that. Once you find the end of it, there are two ways to sweep. One is to create a plane perpendicular to the end of the curve. That's the proper way. Or you can approximate that perpendicularity with just using a curve that ends on a plane, which is what I've done here. So I'll open up a sketch, and let's sketch a thread profile. I'm not going to make this extremely accurate, but remember, one of the rules of a sweep is that the sweep cannot run into itself. So this thread profile must be smaller than the distance between the turns of the helix. I'll try to get this centered up. Let's use a construction line to go from the midpoint of that edge, midpoint of that edge, make that horizontal. Make sure that this line is vertical, everything's symmetrical. Make these two lines equal. One of the things that you want to make sure of with a sweep is that you're not trying to match surface for surface geometry. So this sweep is actually going to interfere with the original cylinder. If you were to try to make this sweep and then try to match up the bottom surface of the sweep with the main surface of the cylinder, it would be highly probable to fail. The reason for that is that the surfaces would be created in two different methods. A cylindrical surface is an analytical surface, while a swept surface, in particular, a surface swept along a complex curve like a helix, is not going to be perfectly cylindrical. So that is why I'm choosing to make the thread interfere with the cylinder. From here, to make the thread work, let's exit the sketch, create a sweep using the profile that we have just sketched and the path of the helix. Notice that the computer had to chug for a second or two before showing the preview. Very often, a sweep feature might twist while sweeping along a helix. If something like that happens, you need to open up the options panel and choose one of the options in the orientation twist type. I would choose twist along path and then set the degrees of the twist to 0. That will make sure that the feature does not twist as it sweeps. Let's see what this particular thread looks like. This would be a very fine thread if it were made on an actual part. But let's look at some methods we might use in order to finish this thread. Very often, threaded rod has a broken edge on one end. And so we might reproduce that in the model by creating a triangle and a center line and making a revolved cut. This gives you a bit of a finished edge and a chamfer right on the end. In this case, I've not been as careful as I could have been, and I've left a sliver. We can go back and fix that situation by making the triangle somewhat taller. So that's one type of thread finishing feature that you can add. Another type might involve this end of the thread, where you can select the end face of the thread, open a new sketch, use convert entities, and then draw a center line. It'd be best, obviously, to use some dimensions with this sort of a technique, but then to use also a revolve, and you don't have to revolve it all the way, maybe just 90 degrees, enough to cause the thread form to dive into the part. On a plastic thread, this type of thread finishing may be good enough. On a metallic thread, the thread is probably going to be produced by some other method that will create its own thread finishing geometry. Again, I would not recommend making parts with this fine a thread or this much thread this fine. It will probably have a detrimental effect on the speed of the rebuild of your models.